This is something that I made back in 2012 and 2013 for a supply chain company I worked for. And made is really a strong word. As you can tell, it looks a lot like Wikipedia, and that's because it's running off of the same open source software. So this is hosted at DigitalOcean, and I used MediaWiki and then just made tweaks to the open source software as I needed it to accomplish a few things that I wanted it to do. And what this project started out as was taking a printed, bindered version of an ISO 9000 manual and putting it into some kind of software cloud package. So one of my principles in business is build everything to be able to be used async, remote, and scalable. And the binder system was not scalable. As we hired more people, they had to go find and reference that, or we had to print more binders. And then every time we made a revision, it ended up a lot of printing. So the scalability was not very high. Another issue was remote. So a lot more things were happening on software packages and computers not at location. So being able to build a system that allowed everybody access and that was scalable was key. And I think that the MediaWiki software really allowed that. And so a couple of the cool things about MediaWiki that are kind of built into the open source is that it tracks revisions. And so everything is revision tracked. You can look at the historical changes that were made, who made them and when, which is really great. You can even revert back to old revisions. One of the tweaks I made was something that's important in ISO, and that is having somebody own a page and then be able to approve those changes. So we'll get back to that in a second. The other cool thing is that you can upload files, so pictures, documents, templates, and I'll show you some more stuff about that later. But so this was originally basically an ISO manual that turned into our complete operations manual, which turned into our complete documentation center. So as you can see, we have supplier quality manuals, customer manuals, information pages. Now, most of this is actually behind a password wall. However, there are some public things such as the supplier quality manual where we just have links that we share with all our suppliers, and it talks about everything from how to ship packages to us to what we hold them accountable to, and it's just an overall view of the things that we're kind of measuring them against. And even it's a small documentation for how they should operate with us, where to send documentation, where to send paperwork, what to include on it. And it really reduces the amount of emails, the amount of questions, the amount of overhead communication that we have that we really shouldn't be having or don't need to have as we scale. So let's look really quick at, let's say we're going to edit this, and what I want to show you, let's save the page. And all the way at the bottom here, you'll see this, review the revision. So we can see, does it adhere to what it's supposed to do? Is it complete and is it useful? And there's versions of this that are not green. As you can see, it's not green. It's complete, or maybe it's good enough for now. Maybe this will help. You can grade on these three, and I've coded in here what it needs on each of these to actually be pushed public. So what I mean is people can make changes, but only they will see those changes until the ratings match something that is of a high enough quality to be inserted into the manual. Now, on a private wiki for a company, this is somewhat important, but it's really important for things like changes to a supplier quality manual. Before you get changes being pushed out, you want everybody to feel comfortable making those edits. Otherwise, you're gonna really stagnate the collaborative atmosphere. But you may not want them to get pushed out until they are complete and you're proud of it. So by assigning pages certain owners and then giving a grading criteria, it helps cross that wall. Another neat thing is auto-populating lists. So this was a little add-in that I built. So let's go to work instructions. Each of these, so these are all the administrative work instructions, equipment, and if I go to one, for example, let's go to the box crusher here. And this is just some equipment. There's not much here. Let's pick one that's got possibly something in it. The Zeiss CMM. So there's some how to qualify a new stylist and some tasks and to-dos here inside of Zeiss. And as you can see here, it's inside of a URL. So work instructions, then equipment, then Zeiss. So you can build these on the fly. For instance, I can say, oh, we got a new equipment Let's say we got a new caliper and it's a 16-inch caliper. I can just type it in and right away I can start with an empty page and create it, and it will be automatically housed under work instruction and equipment. That's built into MediaWiki. But what it also does is now it'll actually add those automatically into here. So as we create pages on the fly, it'll automatically, using that URL structure, create almost a table of contents for all of our different work instructions. So the fact that you have these auto-populating lists can be used for more than just a work table of contents, but it is nice to help keep things organized. So here is an actual work instruction. This is a simple one. So this is kind of where we started to do it. And that is to be able to ship UPS. And the goal was name the work instruction, what you might tell somebody to do. And the goal would be to write it in a way where you could pull somebody off the street. You could give them this and they would be able to complete it. So exactly what you would need. And if you don't know what the UPS card is, we've got a list of all of our equipment. So here's a table. And in here, we've actually, I believe, one of our pieces of equipment is the UPS cart with instructions on how to use it. And so you can see here, first thing you do is you go to the shipment desk. What's the shipment desk? There it is right there. Again, you can upload photos, trying to make it so anybody could find it, kind of walking through all of our different steps. And then again, grading and shout outs. So this was the general initial purpose, was to create these kind of detailed work instructions that allowed somebody to be able to complete different tasks. What we started to do was build these into procedures. So here's a number of procedures. Some are ISO, some are extra. Even how do we deal with export compliance, customer shipping specifics. Again, this was a reference point, and the more questions people had, the more we knew what to populate this with. And we really created a culture around every time you learn something, throw it in here really quick. Don't worry if it's complete. And then over time, we would add links, and it kind of built itself. And it's been in existence for almost 8 years now. So it's really been built out to quite a robust knowledge system for a very small company. This is one of the public pages. So one of the things you've seen before are all private pages. This one is public. And again, this is kind of how we expect our suppliers to interact with us, how we do quality, even how to, as you can see, how to ship to us down here at the bottom, where to send BOLs and how to ship to our Mexico facility and contacts for our agents overseas. And you can see something at the top here. There are some changes here that have not been pushed. So you can see review pending changes, which means somebody has made changes. They're under pending, but they have not been pushed to the actual live version yet. So I can see it because I'm rated as an owner here, but a supplier would not actually see this if they were viewing the live version. So that's pretty interesting. Another interesting thing is because you can create files, we actually added all of our templates and our actual documents that we use here with the revision that we use it. So this becomes like a master revision list for us. And if we went to these, let's pick the job router. You can go and see our job router here, the actual file, and get it from here. You can also see, again, all of our revisions on that file. So this is a really good way to keep track of the history of how things have evolved and the circumstances under which they evolved. So here you can write comments like this was for better tracking for the secondary processes. This was updated to better reflect processes and the movement of parts. There's a lot of interesting places to hold data that can help you go back and realize changes. There's a lot of other features that you get with this. I mean, you can kind of see some of them on the side here, and this has been built to hold our corporate strategy, our values, links to all of our important QuickBook reports that go right to our cloud QuickBooks. We've got a whole manual on how to use our ERP that we've built on here, various training videos we've created for our staff to help them get on board faster. The capability here is really almost endless. But this is kind of one of the projects that I started a while ago, and I have since migrated to a newer version of this, but this is kind of the original project here. So I hope that's interesting and helpful. And if you're looking to set something like this up for yourself, feel free to reach out, and I'd be happy to walk you through what I've done, how I did it, and what I've learned since then.